And our first guest, Rewire, is shaping the way international workers manage their finances by building the first neobank tailored for the unique cross-border needs of migrants worldwide. Led by values of equality and social good, Rewire aims to include migrants in the financial system to enable a fair banking system. And joining us now with more on this is co-founder and CEO of Rewire, Kashtan. Guy, thank you for joining us.
Hi, thank you for having me.
So can you tell us a little bit about what Rewire does and where did you come up with the idea?
Of course. So we founded Rewire in 2015. Initially, when we learned from a caregiver, a Filipino caregiver in Israel that was close with the family of one of the co-founders, we learned how tough it is to send money back home to her loved ones. So she left her family back in the Philippines, migrated to create a better future for them. And she had to pay between 6 and 8% dealing with cash just to send money back home. So 8% of the money she earned in Israel. When we helped her for the first time, the next week, 5 of her friends came with envelopes of cash, so we helped them as well. And what we saw there is a huge opportunity. Over 250 million migrant workers worldwide send money, over $1 trillion every year, to help either their families or create a better future for themselves. We're also underserved and underbanked using cash and other services that cost a lot of money. And also the virality aspect of helping one and bringing the rest was something that was appealing for us. And most importantly, helping a population that we would love helping. It's what actually got us to start Rewire. So we started with $300,000 raised from local investors who knew us from either college or other sort of professional activities. Over time, we raised over $60 million, expanded from Israel to the UK and the rest of Europe. And also in terms of our product offering, it started as money transfer, but over time increased to provide migrants and their families, which is a big part of our vision. Over time, many of the financial services that they need, from insurance to debit cards connected to local accounts, from credit services that we are just now launching and plan to do more.
It's not that simple, right, to operate in this very crowded area where you have Western Union and you have fintech companies like pioneers, giants that are operating in probably the same atmosphere that you operate. Can you tell us a little bit more about your journey for product market fit and until you eventually sold the company, right?
Yes, we are now in a merger process with Remitly, and we'll talk about Remitly soon. Nothing about fintech is simple, from the licensing it requires to anti-money laundering and other activities that you have to perform, even before talking about competitors. When we started Rewire about 8 years ago, the competition landscape wasn't as big. Yes, we had Western Union, we had MoneyGrams, a few giants that are more old school, brick and mortar, now becoming more digital. And over the last several years, with the big opportunity, also other companies like Remitly and Wise and others have grown to become very big competitors of ours. We had the luxury of starting in a market where they don't operate. So only when we expanded to Europe and the UK, this is where we met fiercer competition. But still, the market is huge. Most of the customers are using brick and mortar cash solutions. So the market is ripe for disruption. And these companies, the digital ones, digital first, are still leading. Remitly, for us, which ended up acquiring us in a merger process, has always been our number one priority in terms of long-term exit strategy and joining them. And this is on the business side, when we actually met the people who manage Remitly, we found like-minded people with similar culture and similar vision. And for us, joining a bigger company allows us to fulfill our own vision just many years earlier with company that has already been very successful in many of the things that we have been trying to achieve over the last several years.
Now, the story of how this all got started and how far you've come today, it's really inspiring. And I'm curious, you have such an immense social impact helping, migrants who are trying to create a better life. I mean, how do you measure the social impact that you create?
Yeah. So I think there's direct and indirect ways to measure it. So direct, I would say how much money we actually helped migrants save when they send money, which services we brought to them, like insurance and credit, that they would otherwise have no access to. This is the very direct way, and we can actually count that to the dollars. But if you look at the impact we had in the market, let's take Israel as an example where we launched. When we launched in Israel in 2015, the average take rate or pricing was about 6 to 8%. We launched with about 2 to 2.5% cost, so less than half. Today, the majority of competitors, including ourselves, are somewhere between the 1 and 2% cost for sending money home, which means that we drove the price throughout the market down, not just our own price, because other competitors either got out of business or had to match pricing over time in a way that is, of course, competitive. So we see our impact as market-wide and not just for the customers we serve. We're very proud of that. And so this is one around the pricing. And the other one, I'll give you just an example of our insurance offerings. On one side, we allow our customers, migrants, to buy insurances for their families back home. But on the other side, we also automatically insure in Europe customers who send above a specific amount.
What kind of insurance is it?
So for the family members, it's about injuries, dismemberment, mortality aspects. And for our own customers in Europe, it's about different types of disabilities. So if they are not able to provide for their families.
Like a micro-insurance?
Exactly. So for short term, we will provide. It's not a full life insurance, but it does help in extreme situations. And we don't even charge for that insurance. It's about creating value and that for our customers and their families. So very proud of that as well. And it's hard to measure because this is not something that is either done today or that they would otherwise pay for it. This is just something that they would not have available otherwise.
But having a social impact nonetheless.
Yeah, you're creating a lot of impact, in your work. It's, did you get any assistance from the UN or from the World Bank? Like, do you see impact investors that invest in you? How does it promote you?
So we don't have official impact investors that have invested in us, but I think it actually helped with all of our investors. So of course, no two companies are equal, but if you had to invest in between one or another company that has a similar business potential in your opinion, you would likely lean towards investing in the company that also does good for the world and for a population that is underserved. We did win the Extreme Tech Competition Challenge, and Jerry Young, a former co-founder of Yahoo, has invested at us through that competition or after that competition. So we did create relevant PR and opportunities and brought investors to us, and I believe helped them make the right decision, which was to invest in us. So there's no direct impact investment, but I think in everything we do and in every success we had along the way, what we call double bottom line. So on one side, doing good and creating impact. On the other hand, also being a for-profit company, in our opinion, created a lot of the opportunities that we had over the years.
So thank you very much for coming here today. It was a pleasure having you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, guys. Unicorn TV is brought to you by Symetria. Symetria offers ongoing liquidity management to attract and retain the best talents. Give your team the benefit they desire and deserve and win the competition over talents with Symetria.